Right, here again today. We're going to crack on into some micro goals. All right. So last week we did macro goals. This week we're going to cover off on one of the micro goals. So as we go through our life, okay. So we'll do it down here. This is the diagram we looked before. This is now. This is retirement. This is death. Our income goes up and down. Right. So that's our assets, income, everything in one. So main things in this point is buying a house. That's the main one. Investing, which should be another main one, but it's not usually. Education for kids, holidaying or travel. We've got retirement, that can encompass all the thing, and then transferring to family, right? So what we're doing today is we're going to cover off on this one, buying a house, all right? Okay, so the first thing we need to do is when we look at a house is a sort of the deposit and the repayments. So this is what we're going to cover off on. You should be looking at buying a house with 20%, get through the LMI, but also people like to say renting is dead money. Renting is cheap as shit at the moment, okay? It's usually less. We're usually looking between 2, 3, maybe a 4% yield. So on the price of a property. So if we look at an actual interest rate on a property price, which remember interest is dead money as well, unless it's an investment property, it's deductible. But on a house, it's dead money. So if you're paying 4%, 3.5 to 4% or above on your mortgage, you may as well rent and keep saving. Okay, apart from the growth of the house price, but you can chuck that money into a savings account or investment portfolio and do the same thing. So you need to consider whether it's right for you to go into a house or not. You should be trying for 20% because you would pay more principal than you do, more interest than you do principal up until the 50% mark. Okay, so try and save for 20%. Now, how can we save for 20%? A couple of avenues, right? Because we need to do 20%. Plus stamp duty and other costs like real estate agents fees, buy sell costs, etc. Okay, so these are things you need to take into consideration because it can really blow out your LVR. So we can use first home super savings scheme if you're a first home buyer. Okay, I had a lot of questions about this. It's a good thing for a couple. You can gamble between anywhere between $8,000 and $12,000 a year, $12,000 benefit. You can save more over the 2 years than you could on your own. How does it work? In a nutshell, basically you say sacrifice or contribute to super up to $15,000 over a 2-year period, or each year over a 2-year period, which is $30,000. You pay 15% tax on the way in, you get 30% offset on the way out, so you pay whatever the difference is. Generally works out pretty good. Okay, so unless you're on a really, really high tax bracket, unless you're on a really, really low tax bracket, then you need to weigh it up. But for most people in the average tax bracket, it's a good idea. Then we can save. Okay, and that just comes down to doing your micro goals. So if you know that you can get, let's say we need to save 40 grand a year. Okay, so let's say 40 grand per year. We know that 15 each for the 2 years. Okay, so we need 80 grand. So 40 grand over 2 years. We know that 30 of that, so 15 2 years can come from, and this is for a single, can come from this. Okay, so that's 15. So we only need 25 to save. Yeah. Now we break that down to years, so over the year that's 25 grand. Over the quarters, that's about 6 grand a quarter. Over the month, that's about 2 grand a month, and over the week, it's about $500 a week. Okay, so you just break that down for those goals. Bang, 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 tick your goals, reach your 25 grand. Okay, now remember, look, I couldn't save $500 a week now. No, but remember what I always say, that there's 2 ways to increase the amount of money you have in your pocket. And only 2 ways, and that's either earn more or spend less. So some way you need to try and put a bit more away is by cutting little bits off your bills. Now some good places to look at this, going out bill, discretionary spending, purchasing clothes, that kind of thing, fuel, travel money, dining out, right? Your grocery bill, phone bill, things that are luxury items that you're probably spending a bit too much on anyway. But then another good one is look at your insurance policies. I spend about 10 grand a year in insurance policies, and I halved that at the start of last year because I increased all my excesses. Now you're all, but how do you claim on your insurance, right? Unless you're a spastic driver and you're just crashing every 2 weeks. Even if you crash once a year, if you build a savings buffer and you had an excess of $1,000, you'd be way in front. Okay, so look at saving, having a buffer, and then increasing your excesses. Increase them because you don't really think about how often you actually use those insurances. It's not very often, but they are essential to have there in case you do. But forking out $1,000 once every 10 or 5 years is much better than paying $1,000 extra in premiums every year. Okay, so think about that. So look at your excess, have a savings buffer to cover that excess period. So that's a really good way. You can almost halve your premiums from that. You can save, like five grand a year from that, and then all the other things put together, right? So try and cut little bits off here and there. So that's our saving. That's how we're going to save, right? We need to save that amount. The other way we could do is we could get a gift from our parents or borrow some money from our parents, right? And that's an option too. Then we go to repayments. Now, when you're looking at the size house you can afford, or cost value of the house you can afford, a lot of people get payouts or gifts and they think they can go, 10% bang. One, start with the 20%. Two, think of the repayments, okay? Because right now, if you're renting, you're probably only paying the interest portion of what that mortgage is going to look like. So you need to consider that and make sure that you can afford the principal and the interest. Now, another good rule of thumb, most people apply for a 30-year loan, right? If you can't reduce that 30-year loan to 15 years, I think it's too expensive. Okay, you should be able to pay your home off in around 15 years. Now, people go, realistically, paying home off for 30 years is going to tie you up for a long time, not having much cash flow, not having much fun. So you really need to consider. I've seen clients come in here that have a different mindset. They thought from the get-go, yeah, this is our home, we love it, 30 years is fine. They're 15 years in now and they can't stand the place. It was their dream home and it's just got so many negative emotions to it because of cash flow, being tied up to it for so long, things change, okay? So 15 years you should be looking at. Remember that the more expensive it is, unless you're earning big dollars, the more expensive it is, you're just going to be working more. It's just going to end up being a bed. You're going to be working more to pay this home, which is really just more of an expensive cost of a bed to go to work again. So just this vicious cycle. So really consider, okay, there is some lifestyle there. So repayments. So some things we can take into repayments. You need to make sure that, so you account for your rental amount that you're paying now, because that'll come in, that'll be part of your affordability. Your savings amount, okay? But then you've got to remember the cost, and then you've got your rates, alright? So you minus that, then you've got rates. Insurance, you can have extra insurance, you can have home insurance now, right? Maintenance, right? Other maintenance costs you're going to have to pay. Right? So there's all these other costs that come involved. So it's not just being able to buy the house, it's a bit trickier than that. Alright, and then we go. Then once you sell it, you can use it to gift to your kids, leverage it into more, or repurchase a new home, okay? So keep that in mind. Now, what I want to cover off on quickly on this part is the insurances, okay? Now, you have home, car, contents, and we should, like I said before, should be looking to increase those excesses. But the one insurance that drives me bonkers that people let slide is their personal insurance, okay? So, let's go through the stages. So stage 1 of purchasing, stage 2 of repaying, stage 3 of selling, right? Stage 1, life insurance. Usually bundled with TPD insurance, with total permanent disability. But life insurance, you should consider, and this is different for everyone, this is just a general overview, and it's not advice. So, life insurance, should consider having the amount before you purchase the house. If you passed away, something happened to you, accidents happen all the time, that you should leave an amount for your partner, if you're not single. For your partner, in the amount of either 50% of a purchase price for a home, or the full amount, depending on what you want to pay for, depending on how important that is to you. So if you pass away, they can still get that home, or get that goal, whatever it is, right? TPD usually bundled with the life, but same, you want to look at debt repayments, paying the house, plus any medical costs that might be associated, which you can go into there as well. Income protection, this one. The most important thing in your world is your income, and so many of you don't insure it, or you insure it but incorrectly, okay? You need to make sure that that's there, so if you're off work, you've still got enough income coming in to reach your goals, okay? So it's still there to pay, save for the house, go towards, because this doesn't always usually happen at once, okay? So you're not going to get that lump sum. So the income protection there to help you save towards. So when you get back to work, you haven't gone backwards in your savings plan. Super important. Make sure the waiting period is like the excess on these ones. In that, the longer you wait, the cheaper your premium is. So if you build enough of a cash buffer, you should be able to push out that waiting period and make it much more affordable. What you don't want to do is reduce the back end. So you don't want to have this 1 year or 2 year benefit period. You want your policy to cover you all the way to retirement. Alright, that way, if anything goes past 1 year, it's always there. Okay, your income's there for good. And then we've got stage 2. Okay, so that's protecting you everything to make sure that if something happened to you before you purchase the house, you still could do it. Then we've got number 2, is once you purchase the house. Now, if you don't have this insurance and you've purchased a house and you have a family, you are crazy, okay? I'm sick of seeing people come in and telling me it's not important. You are ludicrous. Life insurance, PPE insurance should be covering at least the debt on that property and then anything on top of that that you need to cover, plus your medical costs that may occur. Okay, super important to have that. You don't want to leave your family with $1 million debt. It's not going to happen, even if they still work. I'm telling you, don't do it. At least get rid of half of it or look at something to help them in that time. Income protection. Well, if you have mortgage repayments and you don't have adequate income protection, you need to slap yourself across the head. Give yourself a few uppercuts and then come see someone or go see someone. Okay. Number 3, when we sell the house, then this depends. If we're going to buy another house or if we're going into retirement, we're going to reduce our cover by the debt we need. So there should be a plan behind your insurance, not just a set it and forget. Stage 3, reduce the cover or increase it if you're going to increase your debt. And do that accordingly. You should still have income protection all the way until the income protection should be there until you have a passive income that is the same. Okay, so unless you have a passive income that if you couldn't work, it was going to keep occurring, whether it's your business, investment portfolio, whatever it is, if you don't have a passive income, you need income protection. Alright, I don't like insurance, I'm not an insurance salesman, I don't like saying that's the be all and end all, but I like it when we need it. So my plan with my clients is to have the insurance there and build a portfolio alongside that so they balance each other out. So start with insurance, portfolio, and then we might reduce the insurance as the portfolio gets there until it finally takes over. Okay, that should be the goal. But if you don't have this, you need this. Simple as that. Okay, there's no two ways around it. Then we've got trauma insurance. The last time which I covered off on the unknown insurance. Okay, trauma insurance is about medical expenses, more so around traumatic events, cancers, heart attacks, all those kind of things. Things that you may not be off work, could kill you, might not. I usually insure my clients after a chat. We talk about insuring them for the medical costs, and some even want to take down some debt. Okay, my personal debt might be a portion of the mortgage, whatever it is. It's completely individual for each person. But I try and look at about 2 years worth of expenses, or we look at the medical costs, getting the treatment they want. Okay, so that's something to look at there. So this is all about buying a house. Okay, so saving the right amount, buying within your means, making sure you can afford the repayments, bring them down to 15 years. You don't want to be paying the mortgage forever. And then also covering security, so making you're insured correctly for which stage of the process you're in. Okay? Alright, cheers guys, I'll see you next time.